Here is my photo, voice, portfolio, and presentation as the final project for my diverse populations class. Here's the copyright. And my first photo is the Grambling game. As you can see, some of the band members and a lot of the audience are predominantly African American. This photo is taken at the Grambling versus Prairie View game, as both of these schools represent the HBCU, which is the historically black colleges and universities, and which is predominantly why there are more African American than any other race. While this doesn't exclude other races, it does show the history of the HBCU organization and continuation. And while other races are welcome, one could look at people who attend this school as only African American or only for Black people. My next photo, Blood Diamond, is a good example of nativism, and because this movie is about two gentlemen that came to an area that are not from the area, so they are immigrants or people who have another uh, origin. So it shows how they both had a primary focus, and they stayed concentrated on that focus and were able to develop it and work towards it together despite their differences and despite the um, differences of the people around them within the city that they were in. My next photo, Matilda, it's a quote from Matilda, the movie, which actually represented sexism well to me because it's a belittling quote made by her father. Also, her mother was very condescending in speaking with her, not only at home, but when she went to school. Also, the principal was hard on her and told her some similar words as visualized in this quote here. So I think it's a great example because it shows that the elderly or older people felt that she was incapable of correcting them or being right because she was young or little or small. The next photo is a picture of myself and my battles after drill one evening. I felt this is a good example of heterosexism topic that we discussed this week because this one photo shows several different sexual beliefs to include heterosexism, bisexualism, homosexuality, and I think it's important to note that although we are all in the same uniform and we are all looked at the same until one gets to know us or one decides to begin a conversation with us and discover our differences or our preferences, and which in turn causes society or stereotypes to begin because they know more about the person whom they're speaking with. The Transamerica movie was an example of cisgenderism for me because it's a story about a mother who was actually born as a male, and it shows the differences and hardships that she experienced um, because as a result of this change with her son, with the relationship with him, and in corporate America with her job and details and everything regarding that. So it's a dramatic movie, and I encourage people to watch it because it really brings to light a lot of specifics that we wouldn't otherwise know. My next photo is a picture of my family, my brother-in-law, along with my nieces and nephews, and also my sister sitting on the scooter in the yellow shirt. Obviously, it shows both ableism and disableism or handicap. My sister having multiple sclerosis has actually negatively affected her. Her health is declined. Um, she's still in her mid 40s, and it's actually taking a toll on her. So one of the main points in this photo is that it shows both ableism and the disableism. Um, I know that anywhere that she goes, we have to determine whether there's a ramp, whether there's enough room to maneuver once she gets inside an event or a place that we're invited to. So those are two major aspects that normal able-bodied people would not tend to consider because it doesn't affect them. My next photo is a photo of me and my daughter, and I entitled it "Does Wisdom Come with Age?" I also connected this ageism and adultism with the same photo because I felt it represented both. With the experience that she experienced at school, being accused of cheating, repetitive cheating, because she incidentally took a Scantron out of the classroom, I felt that the teacher saw her as powerless because at that point she was a child and being told what to do and what she would be able to do, what she would not be able to do. But however, it caused her to worry about a situation that she couldn't control. So I also could use the intersectionality of racism because the school is predominantly white, the teachers are predominantly white, and I felt that this was a really huge mistake for the teacher to insinuate and make these assumptions, stating that my daughter was a cheater. So the adultism obviously came in on my part where I connected with the teacher and we were able to come to a basis point, and she apologized and corrected her statement and insinuations of my daughter being a cheater or a repeated offender, if you will. My next photo is going to the lodge, where this represents the Great Wolf Lodge. It's actually a picture of the scenery, and I related this to classism because only people of a certain financial class will be able to come here. This place is very expensive. It's located in an area which is predominantly white. There is no public transportation anywhere near or around this area, and I find it interesting that they only have this one location, as I'm sure they would be able to afford to build other locations in other areas of the Texas area, as this is very far out. So obviously, it's obvious to me that they want to include only certain classes of people who are able to come here. My last photo is a program from the church that I visited this a couple of Sundays ago. I felt it connected with religious oppression because it is a program, and on it it reads, "God's blessings inspire an attitude of gratitude." And this means to me that people experience blessings and have things that they want and need because they have an attitude of gratitude, obviously. So they give God thanks for the things which He gives them. So this photo is obviously representing the Christian religion. And I feel that the Christian religion is more exploited than other religions in that it is related to certain holidays such as Christmas. Most people say Merry Christmas, which is for Christians, it means the birth of Jesus and Jesus's birthday, and that's why it's celebrated in that way. On the next slide, I included my three main areas of intersectionality. Um, Religious oppression I related with racism and sexism because of the sex of the pastor, the The race of the pastor or ethnicity usually determines the race of the congregation. Classism I related to racism and ableism because Great Wolf Lodge and my experience with Great Wolf Lodge, they also do not have areas for handicapped children or disabled children. I think they have like a big window that they can kind of watch the other children play and have fun and area in that aspect, but there isn't a specific place just for them. Uh, Also, sexism I related to ageism because in my example of the Matilda movie, I felt if she were older, she could probably handle those adults on a level of more her own because at that point they would both be adults. She wouldn't be a child anymore and she would be able to speak up for herself, which in the movie she actually did, more or less. Some strengths and areas for growth, some trends and patterns that I noticed um, are the intersectionalities that make the disadvantage greater. So I've noticed that everything has an intersectionality that you can compare it to or pair it with. And I'd like to continue to apply this concept to my everyday life because it helps me to think outside the box and realize and put myself in other people's shoes, if you will. My personal action plan includes to personally develop my leadership skills, improving network, improving networking, and to become engaged in my community as an effort to positively impact the community. Last week, I had the privilege of attending a cultural diversity event, and we had a little task to complete, which was to connect the dots of the page. And there were about, I think, 9 dots, and we were instructed to use 4 lines and connect all the dots, which I looked at as a simple task until I put the pen on the paper and realized it was harder than I thought. The answer to the connecting the dots was actually to think outside the box. So this term is used metaphorically because in life, that is technically the answer to a lot of questions that deal with oppression and all of the isms that we've discussed. And I learned a lot that day in the cultural diversity event, and I'm glad that I was able to um, open my eyes just a little bit more to understand where people of other cultures, people of other walks of life come from.